Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Toledo on this Sunday, September 28, 2025. I'm Karen Christie, today's service associate. I'm here with Reverend Tim Barger, our senior minister. Jeffrey Maxey is at the piano, and he'll be conducting our First Unitarian Choir. Our Director of Lifelong Learning, Ginny Gottman, will tell today's story. And the tech crew is led today by Walter McGee as producer-director. Jeff Slauson, who is also our church treasurer, is operating the cameras. And David Strickler, our commissioned lay minister, is at the soundboard. We have many more volunteers helping, too, with greeters in the lobby, religious education helpers for today's RE activities, and we have a kitchen crew preparing for coffee hour, led by Carla Logan Mercer, our kitchen coordinator. The only doctrine of our church is love, the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We welcome everyone as we sang in our opening song. If you are a visitor, you may notice in the pew rack in front of you a yellow card that helps us to know that we have new seekers here, so please fill that out. We also welcome you who are joining us on our Toledo Unitarians YouTube channel. We hope this time serves your spirit.
You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round. And you can't find the fighter, but the seed in you, so we're gonna walk it out. Move mountains, we're gonna walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, rise like the day, and I'll rise up. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up. I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, high like the waves. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you. When the silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains. Move mountains. And I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. Do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you. All we need rise like the day I rise up. Oh, yes, 1,000 times again, and we'll rise up high like the waves will rise up. In spite of the ache, we'll rise up. We'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you, for you.
Hi, I'm Reverend Tim, and let me add to Karen's welcome. It's finally autumn, the first day of fall, and let's see how the season will change this time. At least we'll have pretty leaves. I don't know what the weather will be like, but let's see. The flame of the chalice that we light in our gatherings symbolizes courage and illumination and honors our search for truth and meaning. Let's all say the words for chalice lighting together. They're on the screen and in our order of service as Karen lights the flame. Our chalice has the spirit of Unitarian Universalism. We light it centered in love. May it glow with sacredness and shine for each and for all. And let's continue reciting together with Karen leading us in the covenant of our congregation. This is not a creed, but what we share with general agreement.
Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Now please join in for some congregational singing with number 1008 from our teal hymnal, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. For you who are willing and able, please stand.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust
Good morning, good morning. I do my own stunts. I would like to invite our younger friends to come forward to better hear and see the story if they would like to. So awesome to see so many faces this morning. Hello, hello. So the last couple weeks, we have talked about a huge battle that took place on Blair Mountain in West Virginia. This was about 100 years ago. And the battle took place between the wealthy owners of coal mines and the miners, the coal miners, who were being kept in poverty by those owners. The miners were being harassed, beaten, and sometimes killed because they were trying to create a union. Does anybody here know what a union is? Jalen.
A union?
Yeah. Like in the job, in the workplace.
So this is going off of like memory, so sorry if I'm not correct. Is it a union basically going against what someone like wants or wants you to do?
Is it a union when someone goes against the things that the employers want, right? Yes, basically, yeah. A union is when a bunch of employees join together to fight for the things they want in the workplace. Unions work for better pay, safer working conditions, time off, and other things like that. Unions are really, really popular with workers. But in fact, unions are actually not all that great. The reason is that the bosses are the job creators, and we really need to let them do the things they want to do to create jobs. Unions cost bosses more money, and that's bad because that makes it harder for the bosses to create those jobs. Our purpose on life, hello? The reason we're here on earth is to make money. That is what we accumulate wealth, and that is what we do with our time here on earth. What? Who are you? What?
Stop lying! Stop lying to these children.
I am not. Who are you?
My name is Mother Jones, and I have devoted my life to helping people form unions. And you're just lying and brainwashing these kids. You want to make rich people richer and everyone else poorer. Here's the truth. Unions are great for workers and their families. Workers and unions get more money, better pay. They help make our world more fair and more equal. Being in a union raises the pay for women of color and for women in general and people of color more than any other policy that has been enacted does. Workers who are in unions have better health care. They can get time off when they're sick.
They can go to work sick.
Oh, if union workers get sick, they can stay home until they are better. Then they don't spread their germs and other people. They don't even lose their pay when they stay home. They aren't bringing the germs to work, and that means diseases don't spread as much. We don't get COVID as much. Unions make workplaces safer. When workers do dangerous work, like coal mining, or if you're in a butcher shop with a sharp knife, cutting up a cow, or maybe you're on a skyscraper building that big New York City up, the unions can make the bosses do things more safely by coming together. They can get the equipment they need. Or members of a union, because they're all together as one big group like us, they can go to Washington, D.C., or to their state, and they can lobby the legislators to make safe laws.
That's ancient history. We don't need to worry about that now.
Oh, It's not. Before unions existed, many kids like you didn't get to go to school or play sports or go to the playground. You know why? You would have been in the mine working all day. You'd have had a little axe and it would be dirty and gross, and they're incredibly dangerous jobs. Actually, it's very sad because many children got hurt or even killed. It's not ancient history, Jenny. In fact, the number of kids getting hurt at work today is even actually growing, and we need to stand up. As unions have been fading, these sorts of issues are coming back. We don't want to go back to the days when 6-year-olds worked for 8 hours straight down in a mine for 6 cents a day. Would you work all day for 6 cents?
No, he wouldn't, because he's a 6-year-old.
How much would you want to get paid? Not 6 cents. You couldn't even buy a gumball these days for that. Yeah. You look smart.
I prefer to work for 5 cents.
Scab.
Scab.
Hey, there's a reason that so many workers throughout history have suffered injuries and even been killed. Mourn for the dead and fight like hell for the living. That's what I say. Amen. Greedy bosses, they make decisions about workers without regard to anyone but themselves and lining their pockets for what is good or safe or fair. All they care about is making themselves as rich as possible. Unions guarantee that workers have a say in the decision. You want to have a say in your decisions, right? You don't want people telling you what to do. You're at work all day. And the work they do is important. So bosses just get to boss everyone around. And joining a union is like being on a team. Or you've been on a team, like a soccer team? If just one hockey team. If just one worker went to the boss and asked for a raise, the boss could fire that worker. It's probably no big deal, right? We'll get someone else to pick up their work. But if all the workers together, if all the people in this church went together and said, Tim, we need more candy, it'd be hard for him to say no. So, it's important. Unions work for fairness, for justice, compassion, generosity, equality, and love, Miss Jenny. And you're hearing that from Mother Jones.
Ooh. All right, Mother Jones. What you're saying actually does make a lot of sense. And it does sound a lot like our Unitarian Universalist values in action. We believe, as you use, that our job here on earth is to make the world safer, better, more fun, and more fair. And that's the work that we do together here in our church. So, Mother Jones, it sounds like your work and ours is the same.
That's right. So let's stand up. Let's go. Let's get the bosses here. Can you bring this as we go out? All right.
And while we exit, please enjoy this pro-union song by Pete Seeger called Raggedy Raggedy.
Yes. Come on, let's fight. Fists up. Let's go. Fairness. Equality. Union, yes. Union, yes.
We don't get nothing for our labor, so raggedy, raggedy are we. Lee called it a zipper song because you could change one word and you had a whole new verse. Zip another word in. Homeless, homeless are we. Just as homeless can be. We don't get nothing for our labor, so homeless are we. They say landless, or shoeless, hogless, cowless. Union are we. Just as union
Toledo Blade before I came here. I was a member of the Communications Workers of America, so I am pro-union myself. Please join me for a time of spiritual practice. And before I get to this, I want to say that some of you have seen people come up during the music and light candles in front. That is an invitation for all. If there is something that you want to light a candle for, whether it's an individual votary type of thing, or you have a thought that you wish to just project out into the universe in some way, you're always welcome to come up and light a candle when music is playing. In this first of 3 intentional times of spiritual practice in our Sunday gatherings, we look beyond ourselves, considering celebrations and sorrows and the state of things. I say intentional because I hope that for many of you, the entire Sunday service is filled with opportunities for spiritual practice, and that includes times of candle lighting if you choose, but the intentional ones are for us all to share in community. Join me for a time of having our spirit open to what is beyond ourselves. The news brings us reports from near home and around the world. And there's too much, at least for me, that I might in the past have liked to know, but today goes beyond informing and makes me concerned. This past week was the General Assembly of the United Nations, a time when representatives of countries all over the world come to the United States to continue efforts to settle differences in peaceful ways, to unite the nations in working for the human good worldwide. And it had been traditional in New York City to highlight some of the hospitality of the United States as a global leader. I'm upset that the current President of the United States and his administration decided to deny visas to delegates and top elected officials of some nations, the policies of which the present U.S. administration disagrees. Our Unitarian Universalist tradition is very supportive of building a world for all and has deep ties with the United Nations. This is another area in which our country will have to reestablish right relations when presidential administrations change. Another example of concern to me from my news consumption. On Tuesday, about 800 generals, admirals, and their top enlisted rank aides will have an unprecedented meeting at a Marine Corps base in Quantico in Virginia, called by the current Secretary of Defense, who would like to be known as the Secretary of War. The topic for which bringing so many military leaders from around the world to be in person rather than using technology to participate from their places of assignment is not known. There has been a lot of speculation. I worry. It could just be that the cabinet secretary, who before his cabinet service had been a reservist in the District of Columbia Army National Guard, is abusing his position so the major can call all the generals together for a demonstration of his power and say a few words about his love for war. Or it could be serious with firings and demotions destabilizing the armed forces in much a way that the civilian government service and the judiciary have been destabilized. Maybe it's even more, and I fear what that could be. This presidential administration wants war readiness and personal loyalty. It seems to be key rather than defense preparedness and dedication to the Constitution. May we have at least the peace and compassion in our nation and the world on Wednesday that we have today. Let's not ignore the news and current events as what goes on in the world does have an effect on the person too. But there may be good and joyful news somewhere, and may we find that. And I understand that for some of us, following the news is not something that you want to do at all. That's understandable. That is human. Depend on community as well. There are people in our circles who, with their family and friends, have challenges of life and death, including hospice to help die with dignity, health and illness, along with unexpected complications and more medical attention, home and travel, financial security and monetary stress. Decisions are being made by ourselves and others on how we can live our best lives, which sometimes means aspiring to that and realizing we have moves yet to make to reach aims and goals. And individual and family ways go on, with new lives born and many other joys and celebrations. We all have bad days and good. May kindness and gentleness be with us. May we be compassionate to all, as we don't know what other people are going through. So treat one another well. And may we be glad for their celebrations and ours. And let's look for and take part in the good wherever we can find it. Let's continue to have First Unitarian be a place of welcome, of grace, even of refuge from hard times. And that in this liberal religious community, we can help one another, care for ourselves, and have our part in changing the world. Please share mercy and dignity, and remember to breathe. One reason we join in religious gatherings is to realize common links. The uncommon is here too. Let's be together in faith, hope, and love. Amen. Our place in the order of service. I think we did. And I will bring you the spiritual practice, and after our minute of silence, instead of our traditional meditation hymn, then we will hear the Century Music Sunday. So please join me for more intentional spiritual practice, a time of meditation, contemplation, and prayer. Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, began last Monday, and Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, begins at sundown this coming Wednesday. I'll read a meditation on atonement by Unitarian Universalist minister Victoria Safford. The title is At One. Imagine this. On the days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, every fall, every year, the people make their peace with anyone they have wronged or slighted or injured or in any way neglected in the past 12 months. The task is not to patch things up, smooth things over, reach a compromise, or sweep mistakes and uneasy memories under the rug. The task is not to feel better. The task is ownership. The goal is truth for its own redemptive sake. I did this. I said this to you, and it was wrong. I neglected this. I botched this. I betrayed you thusly. I demeaned you, whether you ever knew it or not. This is the truth in which both of us are living. I ask you to forgive me. Imagine how many deep breaths you would need to take. Imagine how many doors you'd have to knock on, how many phone calls you'd have to make, how many letters, how many lunches and coffees, how many awkward moments with your children and your parents and with strangers, that cashier to whom you spoke so sharply. Awkward is irrelevant. The task is not about comfort. It is about truth, about wholeness and holiness, restoration. Imagine this. Someone has been preparing all year to speak with you, to write to you, to ask you a hard question. Perhaps in some way not quite conscious, you have even known this, and you have been preparing too. Finally, you answer the door or the phone or open the letter with shaky hands, and there it is. What you thought you'd been longing for, but really have dreaded. Someone is asking your forgiveness. The task is not about comfort, it is about truth. Awkward is irrelevant. You get to choose now, you have to choose whether and how you will participate in restoration. Abandon the pleasant piety that claims knee-jerk forgiveness as the unquestioned moral course. You get to choose which way will be right in this case, between you as persons and with all your gods. What response will make the world more whole? Imagine, something yearns in us to come round right. Something creaky, rusty, heavy, almost calcified within us tries, in spite of us and all of our fears and self-deceptions, to turn and creak and turn again and come round a little truer. Something in us stretches toward conversation, toward conversion. Imagine healing wholly from within. Now let's observe 1 minute of silence, and then we'll hear Jeffrey sing Sunday. 1 minute of silence.
The reading for today is Don't Believe by Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln is quoted as saying, "Don't believe everything you read on the internet."
That applies to email too. A week ago, I spoke on the last day of summer, which was also the International Day of Peace. Today is the International Right to Know Day and the International Day for Universal Access to Information. You might think I would use this sermon time to advocate for information and the right to know. And you know from my work in communications, media, and liberal religion that I am very supportive of having as much material and data and as many reliable sources obtainable as possible for better knowledge and information. Today, though, I bring a different perspective. While we have the right to know and accessible information, it's also sometimes used to take advantage of others. Computers and the internet have been abused by some people to commit cybercrime. And that has been done to some in this congregation, including recently from crooks impersonating me. I honor the generous nature of our church members who did not see through the discrepancies in an email asking for money from me and did buy gift cards expecting to be repaid. It's not wrong to want to help. And we're fortunate, at least this time, that the people who responded and bought hundreds of dollars worth of gift cards had the means to take that hit and continued to be generous by not expecting us to give them church funds to repay an impersonator's promise. For one person, the instructions in the email were followed to the point that the crook received the complete gift card information to cash them in and did so. Another person bought cards and decided to check with me before sending the information, and they learned then that it was a scam, not a request by the minister. That generous person then donated the $400 in gift cards they had purchased to our church with the suggestion that they go to our staff, and the board supported that surprise bonus. A bad situation, but generosity prevailed. You might take away from today's talk the point that generosity, one of our 6 Unitarian Universalist values, which are all centered in love, generosity done in a spirit of gratitude and hope is good. Be as generous as you can. And be on guard, because there are people who will take advantage of those who do good. Let me tell you about the email that prompted me to bring this issue to a Sunday service that took our congregants for at least $1,000. On the screen, you can see copies of these, and I've obscured the names and email addresses of the recipients, except for me, me as the person posing as me, and kept the names of the email originators, including the impersonation of me. The Let's Steal from the Toledo Unitarians assault began August 25th. Many people received an email purporting to be from me. The email address was a Gmail one with Rev. Dr. T.K. Barger as the name. My real personal email on Gmail doesn't look that official. But our church materials refer to me as Reverend Dr. T.K. Barger, so people would naturally think it's me. There was a bit of flattery in the message. I'd like to be better at sharing compliments. I do appreciate the good that you are and that you do. But for today and email, I need to ask that you read with skepticism, even when you think it's my reaching out to you. Here, the second paragraph should raise some alarms. I was wondering if you have a moment to spare for a brief discussion. There is a task that requires discretion, and I believe you would be the perfect person for it. I would appreciate it if you could let me know if you are open to communicating by email. I'm usually a bit more direct than I was wondering if, and I would ask more directly. I don't think I would call something I'm reaching out to you for a task that requires discretion, but would phrase it another way. And I doubt if I would use communicating by email in a way that it's a new and unusual way for us. Please, in your skepticism, think of how I or whoever sends you an email asking for participation at a level you haven't been asked about before, speaks and writes and corresponds naturally. The real tip-off for many who reported this to me, and please do let me know if you get a message from me that you think is fake, because it's possible others also received it, and I can try to take action to let people know not to engage with it. The thing that some saw and said, that isn't Reverend Tim, is that it was signed, "Many Blessings." You know I'm not the stereotype of a preacher who uses churchy talk a lot. So an email asking for a favor wouldn't have that ending. For those people who did reply to the email, they got this next. A request for a Target gift card today for some sick women and a few staff as a bonus for the month. But I can't do that because of my very busy schedule limiting me to email. The crook asked you to buy it, wrote that I would pay you back later in cash or check, and to keep the task confidential. The generous nature of a couple of people, or maybe their wanting to be kind to me, got them past red flags. Getting a gift card for some sick women sounds kind of good, but why would I reach out instead of using the minister's discretionary fund, which we have for the purpose of the minister trying to help people with unusual needs? Then a big alert, giving cards as a bonus for the month to a few staff. Remember, bonuses here are rare because of our tight church budget, and they don't come from the minister, but the board. Our board approving the use of the 4 cards we received from one person who was taken by the scam, giving the 4 cards to our total staff of 4 people. That included me, and my wife received that card, which she spent on our grandchildren, was a kind bonus done at the suggestion of the person who chose to give the cards to the church rather than return them for a refund, which could have been done. And again, this and all the emails ended with many blessings. The next email had the instructions. One person was told to buy 4 cards, another 6, and to make them separate $100 cards. And instead of giving the actual cards, just take the photo of the back of each one, but first scratch off the silver covering, obscuring some numbers so all the numbers could be seen. Then send those photos. All the information to cash the cards in would be in the criminal's email inbox. What we found from the person who did follow those instructions was that they were zeroed out immediately. So the police are involved because that theft was reported. I'll let you know that the fake me was polite, acknowledging that the cards were received, and there was a "see you tomorrow" email, so the person could be paid back if the whole thing weren't a scam. The next day, in person, I got a "here are your cards," and had to tell the person they'd been had. They were gracious in taking in the information and knowing that's not something that the church could pay them back for. Now, what do you think happened next? The criminal thought they had a good thing going. They had fake me asking the person to buy $800 more in gift cards. Thankfully, we were on to the scam by them. And the email cited a Bible passage. Colossians 3:23 and 24. For whatever we do, may we do it from the heart, as the Lord and not others, knowing that we will receive from the Lord the due payment of the inheritance. Amen. In other words, the due payment wouldn't be coming from the scammer, would it? And this Unitarian Universalist minister is not one to quote Bible passages related to the circumstances. You know that. The next verse after that quotation, if you want to know. For the wrongdoer will be paid back for whatever wrong has been done, and there is no partiality. I don't think this wrongdoer cares. Our victim didn't respond to that second attempt. The scammer emailed again, asking if the email was received. Then, amusingly, just a "hello, are you there?" after no more response. Okay, that was a long telling of 8 emails detailing someone taking advantage of our congregation successfully to them while impersonating me, the senior minister. It's important to me that you know this. And it was very educational for me to learn the details because while these have become somewhat common, we've been pretty effective in shutting it down before harm is done, except for this time. Now we know what happens next. What should you do when you receive an email like this? The first thing don't reply. The second, let me or the church office know. The safest way to do that is to copy and paste that email into a new one you originate and send that to me or the office. You'll be using a real address, not the fake one that a reply email would go to. Or notify me another way, such as by text or a phone call. And continue to be skeptical. There are other ways people try to take from us. Sometimes it's not money, but contact information, which might be used in other scam attempts, or to sell the addresses on the open market and get a few dollars that way. We get those requests in the office. I received one supposedly from our office manager, and it went to a few other staff and clergy here too, from different originating email addresses using our names. They say they lost the access information for our online member directory, so please send that. At present, we don't actually have an online member directory. So that's easily seen through if we don't just see some strange email address after our name. Another way, using our names but other emails, is a request to a staff member to change payroll direct deposits. Yes, they'll try to steal our paychecks. And then, I'm not sure if this is a potential scam or just bad email marketing, but somehow I received a solicitation to me, from me, trying to interest me in an insulin storage carrier, which might be more attractive to me if I did need insulin injections. At least in one aspect, I'm healthy, I guess. But all of you, please be on guard. And keep your good nature, your generous ways, and help those whom you can, individually and as part of our church. You know, we live in a world that is not yet the beloved community we'd like. Let's keep working toward that goal. At the beginning of this talk, I said that today is International Right to Know Day and the International Day for Universal Access to Information. And I hope you know a bit more and understand that some information must be less accessible, but some people will try to scam you to get that information. Today is also Ask a Stupid Question Day. I found, and rather than say there are no stupid questions, consider the different connotations of stupid and know that email scammers are asking stupid questions. And this Tuesday is Blasphemy Day. And it's blasphemous to take advantage of church people, whatever their religious leanings are. And just as blasphemous to take advantage of anyone. As the police sergeant would say in the old cop show Hill Street Blues, let's be careful out there. So be it. Okay, many blessings. And blessed be.
Now is the time for our offering. As I mentioned earlier in the service, the only doctrine of our church is love, the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. Now is the time for us to offer our support to this liberal religious community so that we can continue to spread our values of justice, equity, and generosity in the world. Reverend Tim encouraged us in his sermon to be safe in our giving practices. We also encourage your continued generosity to this church. We will now pass the basket here in the sanctuary. All of you, including our YouTube viewers, can also donate electronically or by mail. Thank you for being generous and for helping Unitarian Universalism to thrive in Toledo. For more congregational singing, let's sing number 402, From You I Receive.
It's the coming soon part of our gathering where we tell you what's scheduled for next Sunday, we give some announcements, and we also let you know what's up for right after we leave the sanctuary. Next Sunday, join us for Spiritual Forum in Fellowship Hall at 9:45 a.m. when Claudia Annoni, who is the former executive director of Same Cafe that was in the main library of Toledo Lucas County Public Library, but closed in the spring. She is now a member of the board of Eat Well, the restaurant with a similar model to the recently closed So All May Eat that is about to open where Same had been. Produce from our community garden had gone to Same, and some of our gardeners and other members worked volunteer shifts at Same. I expect that Claudia Annoni will talk both about Eat Well Cafe and how we can be part of its operation.
For the 11 a.m. gathering next Sunday, Reverend Tim will bring a sermon titled, What Does Unitarian Mean Today? We're part of a national and global church, so this and upcoming services on universalism and humanism will address aspects of our religious grounding and movement.
The First Friday Book Club will meet this coming Friday here at the church at 2 p.m. This month's book for a discussion to be led by Becky Roboski is James by Percival Everett. That's a novel looking at Mark Twain's The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn from the perspective of Huck's companion, the character Jim, who had been enslaved. Percival Everett's book won both the National Book Award and the Pulitzer Prize. It's possible to read the entire novel by Friday if you want to join in on the discussion. And you don't have to have read Huckleberry Finn to appreciate James. For more information about the First Friday Book Club, contact Carol Kyer-Lieber or Jenny Washing.
And I just want to add my 2 cents on the book, James. It is wonderful, and I would encourage you all to read it. This coming Saturday from 11:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the church, Nitwits and Fiberworks Orphans will have its monthly first Saturday session. It's low-key, bring your own knitting or fiber craft project and work on it with company. Bring your own lunch and a beverage, too.
In 8 days, a week from Monday, the next Blessings of Diversity service by the Multi-Faith Council of Northwest Ohio will be held here in the sanctuary at 6 p.m. And the theme will be the Golden Rule. Please come for that and hear Golden Rule perspectives from 10 different religious perspectives, traditions, while showing the support that we Unitarian Universalists give to the Multi-Faith Council. If you come, please bring a non-perishable food donation for our little free pantry to help people in need, but that's not required for you to take part.
And the final coming soon entry is for me to invite you to join us in Fellowship Hall after today's service for coffee, conversation, and social time. It's also Potluck Sunday, and this month is special because we'll celebrate Melissa Jeter, our minister in formation, who graduated from seminary in June with a Master of Divinity degree and has a hymn that she wrote, "If There Ain't Room for Me," which we sang 3 weeks ago, published in the new online Unitarian Universalist hymnal, Sing Out Love. You're all invited to Fellowship Hall, and if you didn't bring a potluck dish, come anyway, because there will be plenty of food, including cake and ice cream.
Let's have one more observance of spiritual practice. We have gone beyond ourselves with the pastoral time and turned within for meditation, contemplation, and prayer. Now, recognizing the Buddhist thread in our congregation, we will share a time of metta, having for and sending to all beings love, kindness, and compassion. We also have pagans among us, so we will follow that with the Wiccan Rede. Let's recite those together. May I, may we, and may all beings be well, be happy, be peaceful, be safe, awaken to the light of our true nature, and be free. And ye harm none, do what ye will. And now please join me in saying the words on the screen while Karen extinguishes the chalice. We send the flame from our Unitarian Universalist chalice with the love on which we center everything to fire up the world and spread equity, generosity, interdependence, justice, pluralism, and transformation. Go in peace, holding, knowing, and centering love in your lives and sharing love in your actions. Merry meet, merry part, and blessed be.
Extinguish this flame, another light of truth, the warmth of unity, the fire of commitment, peace we carry in our hearts, of still we are.
you know what? It's because there's two spiritual practices right across each other. It's spiritual practice, and I looked up and saw that one. I'm like, but he didn't do I was still confused because he didn't do the silence.